morning, depending on when you're listening to the show. But we have returned from another Comic Palooza, and you know, I thought our show, which I don't know if we have audio because I fucked up and I forgot to record the first few minutes. Plus, the room was a little not set up the way it was supposed to be. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. We seem to have a history of audio issues at Comic Palooza, so other than last year, it's the only year that we didn't have any issues. So I'm kind of at the point where I'm over it. But we were the first show of the day Saturday morning at the show, and so we had to wait a few minutes for people to get in the door. And we had a nice small audience interactive with us, and I thought it went well. We didn't talk much about it afterwards, but I thought it was a good little 35 minute conversation. We discussed 30 years of Batman Returns, and I felt that I don't know. I just felt like it was a good, solid little half-hour conversation.
No, yeah, I think we had more engagement than we thought we were going to have. That's for sure. And at one point, we're like, well, are we even going to have an audience to, do this, except for, just some that we brought with us. But it was, yeah. And but it was cool that we got who we had, and they seemed interested and engaged, and that was cool. Yeah. Hopefully we made some new, routine listeners.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And if any of you from that panel are listening, welcome to the Rebel Radio podcast. This is Mark.
This is Matt.
This is Long.
And Long, how'd you think the panel went? You thought it went well?
Yeah, it went well. You didn't sound as nervous like previous years.
No, you're right. I think as much as I don't like talking in front of people, I'm starting to get a little better at it. I think I did a panel on Sunday with Ryan and Chris, and I think two of them are named Chris from I Am Geek. We all know them. We've done their battle royale with them before. You guys know Ryan and those guys.
Jeez.
And it was just a general Star Wars panel. And we were supposed to have some other panels show up, but they didn't. So it was just me and the guys from I Am Geek. And it went well, too. And I found myself talking a lot more at that. If it's something that's definitely in my comfort zone, like Star Wars or Batman, I think I'm a little better at talking about it. And, last year, Arnold was more a bigger thing for Matt, so I let him do a little more talking. And so it has to be something that's really my comfort zone. Or like that year we tried to we tried to fit our regular episode into 45 minutes like we did Phantom Menace and Big Trouble in Little China the year before. And I think that doesn't work for us. So I think it's better to keep it casual like we did the last 2 years, because our shows are generally about an hour and 15 minutes. That's our average show. So we try to stuff our show into 45 minutes. It doesn't work for us. So it's just better to do something casual and fun. And I think that's why it's worked well the last couple of years. And, but yeah, it was fun overall. I handed out more stickers and buttons at the Sunday panel, also for the Star Wars panel. And we had a few more people in that one, probably.
You mean Michael handed out?
Yeah. Well, yeah. We probably had 20 people in the Star Wars panel, and it went well. They were we did kind of talk our feelings about Star Wars and turned it into a Q&A, and we handed out some stuff. So hopefully we got some new listeners. I hope we did. And thank y'all for tuning in, and thank y'all for coming out to the panels at Comic Palooza as well. And as far as the con overall, I enjoyed it. I had a good time walking around and checking things out. I didn't, it's the first year I didn't attend any panels this year. I just, I don't know, man. There was just nothing I really wanted to go listen to. Nothing excited me. Unfortunately, Comic Palooza lost their headliners the week before the show, because I probably would have gone and watched Anthony Starr, what he had to say about the boys. But other than that, nobody really stuck out to me to go see. As the con tries to rebuild in a post-COVID world, and hopefully next year they bring it. Because, we're well aware that there's some other local cons. When I say local, like Texas and Louisiana, that are kicking some ass as far as their guests go. So hopefully Comic Palooza can bring it back to those Tom Holland, Amelia Clark type levels here next year. That would be nice to see.
Heck, even Jeremy Renner again,
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, at this point, anything's better than some of the guests they had this year. And I mean, I work with Compalooza as far as being a coordinator for the podcast program, but I will come out straight up and pretty much say it. The guest list sucked this year. I mean, that's my
I have
opinion.
to make a comment after, to kind of add to that. I was walking around the con, and it looked like there weren't any booths that were miscellaneous like the recent years. Stuff that didn't belong.
Right.
There was definitely more pop culture related booths this year compared to recent years, where you like went in. It's like, why is oil and gas here, or why is the Pygmy Flange stand here, or
weird sponsors?
One year they had like gourmet soaps, I think.
Yeah.
Well, they still have some of that, and on the flip side of what Long was saying, you didn't have all these weird sponsored booths, but you still had. If you go over to the artist section, like I was running, Mark Nasso, a good friend of mine for a long time, and we were talking, and there's a lot less independent artists out there doing their own books anymore, as they tend to sell more booths. There's a lot of people just doing art prints, crafts, soaps, keychains, wallets, things like that, and that's great and all. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like my another friend of the show, Dave Armour, him and his wife sell their crafts and their comics, and Dave, they're wonderful, wonderful people. I really like Dave and Valerie a lot. But where are the independent artists going? It seems like it's our publishing costs getting too high. What is going on there? It just seems like there was a lot less of that last year or this year. But Mark is still out there selling his books. I ran into on Sunday, Matt. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Dan Price from Latex Avenger? Dan's out with a new book called Bigfoot Knows Karate. And I ran into Dan on Sunday, and he took a little break from comics. His co-artist Bond, passed away a couple years ago, and it just kind of took it out of Dan. So Dan took a little break, but he's back with a new book, and I had a nice conversation with him on Sunday, and really enjoyed catching up with Dan because he's always been a good friend. And Dan was he was our first interview ever on Rebel Radio Podcast. He was on episode 1, literally, as we interviewed him about his books, and we had no idea what we were doing with the podcast back then. And I don't even think Matt was at that interview. I think it was just me talking to him, and I added to the show. And that
was when I
So it was good to run into Dan, and he gave me a copy of his book, and it's pretty cool, man. It's Bigfoot Knows Karate, but it's not what you think. It's an interesting little sci-fi story they've got going. It's a fun read. So hopefully some more independent artists show back up next year at the show, and we'll see. But overall, I mean, it's always fun to go to those kind of things and be in your element and look at all the 501st stuff and all the cool Star Wars things and just flipping through comics and toys and finding some cool shit, and it's all good, man. I mean, I walked a lot. My feet hurt, but I didn't get any con crud this year, thankfully. I felt pretty good all week. My voice is just kind of shot from work and everything else, but I feel fine. I hate those years when you walk away from a con and then you feel like shit for 2 or 3 days. Mostly just tired this year. So, but, a shout out to all our fellow podcasters that did shows this year and to Compalooza for having us. Until next year, they have not announced yet if the show's going to be back in May or in some ways I kind of like it being in the summer, man. When that May show, right when school's letting out, it's kind of just feels a little bit like, oh, bam, I don't know. I kind of like the summer show. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think I like July better too. Cause it's like, they always want to do it on Mother's Day. And
I did like it in June. That year they had it in June when it was Father's Day weekend. I didn't mind that. That was okay.
Oh yeah.
I would prefer June I like June or July rather than Memorial Day weekend, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but until next year, we shall return.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure. And we'll come up with something cool to talk about. And it'll be fun. And we'll drag along with us, even though he'll mumble and he'll grumble. He'll still come be a trooper and hang out.
He'll find something cool.
That's right. And I will tell Kerry when he's making the schedule, do not put us first on Saturday again, please.
Yeah. Please.
I didn't mind being.
If we get a panel, I actually have an idea that I kind of wanted to do. It might be involved that you two just sit back and enjoy the lecture, but I'm thinking about doing like a Mechagodzilla panel or a King Ghidorah panel. Yeah. Or some kind of Godzilla panel.
Did you hear what he said? He was going to make us sideshows, Matt.
We could be the hype men. He could be like Mechagodzilla. Be like, yeah. And then you're like, what?
Did you see? I didn't write this down in the news, but did you see Kurt Russell's going to be in the TV show?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
They cast Kurt Russell in the Godzilla and the Titan show.
I thought he retired.
No.
He came out of retirement like that gladiator from Gladiator?
Kurt Russell never retired.
Oh, okay.
I thought you mentioned that he was going to make Santa Claus his final role in the movie.
Well, he had joked about
that last year.
Yeah, he had joked about it, I think. But yeah, Kurt Russell's apparently going to be in Godzilla and Titans. No, remember Kurt? It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing where Kurt Russell was like, I played Santa Claus, so if I was to retire tomorrow, I'm happy. He basically kind of made it like a tongue-in-cheek thing. So because was he in the last Fast and Furious movie? So he's done movies since Santa Claus. So
yeah,
who knows? But cool. All right, well, let's officially get in today's show after kissing some Comic Palooza butt there. Download this, where I tell people what you watched, stream, checked out this week, and I guess I'll go first real quick. I didn't really, I didn't watch much this week. I did sit down with the kids and I watched the new animated film from, I think it's DreamWorks and The Bad Guys. It's on Peacock, so it's free to watch.
Yep.
Man, it's actually a pretty fun movie. Way better than I thought it would be. Very entertaining, cool story. Interesting, different type of animation style. They use some different techniques on it, but that was a fun movie, man. Wyatt stood there and watched it and didn't move. He had been wanting to watch it, and he wanted me to rent it. And I just happened to turn on Peacock, and I saw, oh shit, it's free on here. I'm glad I didn't rent it.
Yep.
And so that was a fun one to watch. Good stuff. I enjoyed that, and I'm trying. And I've watched a few more episodes of Neon Genesis Evangelion. I've got about 5 to go. I think I'm on like episode 20, so almost finished that series. Well, I still got to watch the movies, of course. And that's really all I really watched this week. Didn't have time for much else, post Comp Blues. And my boss has been on vacation, so work absolutely kicked my ass this week. So I came home every day and just sort of rested and vegged and kind of let the kids watch TV. And I didn't watch much myself this week. That's okay. Some weeks are like that. But I highly recommend The Bad Guys. If you want a good, fun animated film, pretty good. And there's some pretty decent over the kids' heads jokes in there too. I will say I have to give the movie credit for making it entertaining for the adults with some jokes that were pretty well placed, and the kids won't understand what they were about.
I'll go next. I started playing a little bit of Diablo 3 again.
Nice.
But didn't dive much into it. I was just leveling up my Necromancer, and I ordered a couple of like Jane Foster trade paperbacks. These are the big sagas that collect at least 10 to 15 issues. Got the Jane Foster Thor and the sequel, the Jane Foster as Valkyrie comics. So, yeah. Yep. And then I also got the action figure from Love and Thunder. I'm a big fan of the character.
Because she comes back as a Valkyrie, right?
As far as in the comics, yes, but I don't know where they're going with her character in MCU.
Well, so. She goes to Valhalla and then she becomes a Valkyrie. And
I know that in the comics.
She's got to come back, man.
In the movies, who knows?
Long man. See. I was kind of looking for like trade paperbacks at Comp Palooza because I know you'd mentioned looking for Jason Aaron's run on that and everything. But like that's one thing. The vendors had lots of comics and dump ins, but not a lot. Usually, there's always like boxes of just trade paperbacks they're trying to blow through and selling them half price. But this year a lot of vendors didn't bring their trades with them because I usually always pick up a trade or two at Comp Palooza every year, and I just couldn't find any this year.
Yeah, I know. I walked the whole floor. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, they didn't bring their trades, man. They had, like I said, they had their dollar bins or $5 comics, but no trade vendors. So
yeah. But that's it. Go ahead, Matt.
I also watch The Bad Guys because the kids have been like, oh, let's do theater at home, and I'm like, no, let's not. I was like, and then I just happened to be scrolling Peacock like you, Mark, and I'm like,
I turned it on. I turned it on to watch the movie we're doing today. And then Wyatt saw it, and he's like, "Oh, can we watch that instead?" So I let him watch it, and I just watched the movie we did today later on. But that's originally why I turned it on, was to watch Field of Dreams, and Wyatt saw it, and I was like, "Okay, we can watch it."
Yeah, I was like, "Hey kids, you want to watch the Bad Guys?" And it was good. It was fun, and a nice little twist, But I guess. Maybe predictable, given the which animal it was, but the kids liked it. That's what's important.
Yeah,
I had heard all the bad reviews, and I had to still watch it. I watched Resident Evil, the Netflix series, and Lance is great in the film, even though he's playing a character that died off. I guess they're making so if you're familiar with the games, this is a Netflix series that is based off of them making a new Raccoon City.
Right. So don't let your nostalgia get to you, because there are people are saying that this is worse than that bad movie that came out last year.
Yes. If you are looking for a Leon Kennedy, if you're looking for Chris or Claire Redfield, Jill Valentine, and the story that you grew up with and got you attached to the franchise, this is not it. And it is a different story. They did take a lot of what I do like is the creatures. They took like some of the creatures from Resident Evil 4. They of course have the lickers in there. And it's kind of like they went more with the zombies from Resident Evil 5 versus the original G virus or T virus zombies, and that's pretty cool. That's probably my favorite takeaway from that and Lance. I haven't gotten to the part where there's been a leak of I guess the president of Umbrella. She's doing some Morbius dance number where she's singing and stuff and dancing, and it's very non-Resident Evil, Resident Evil's not singing and dancing. It's not Downtown Abbey. It's a fucking zombie, apocalyptic, thing.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I'm just when Netflix announced this about 2 or 3 years ago, and they seemed aware at the time of the property and what it was and how the fans weren't happy with the things that the previous versions of the story. It's so you had all this time, how do you fuck it up? It's just come on. And it scares me with the Sandman coming out in a couple weeks, because I really want it to be good, and I do think it will be with Neil Gaiman behind it. But it's just man, Netflix adaptation of things lately has been not on a good track run.
Yeah, it's they have this blueprint, right? And we see it all the time. We see it all the time with these video game adaptations of movies, where you have the blueprint, like Double Dragon. Literally, the bad guys take the girl, and and then the good guys get the girl back. That's it, And then they're just oh, well, you know what? Let's this elaborate story that has nothing to fucking do with the video game, and that's what they did here. They're you know what? That's cool and all, and the fans would love it if we did this, but let's ball this up. Throw it in the trash can, take, a few pieces maybe, and then we'll make a whole new storyline that they weren't asking for, and that's what we'll present them with.
But then on the flip side of that, you have toxic fandoms too. That Cowboy Bebop was adapted from the show with slight changes to make it still fresh and new. And for the most part, I thought it did a good job. And then the fans trash it because, oh, wait, you changed stuff too much. It's wait, what? It's like, what do you want here? You didn't want a straight adaptation, but then you complain when they changed some things in the show.
Yeah.
Like I saw the first photos from the cast of Yu Yu Hakusho, and I've never watched it like you. I know you're a big fan, but like it almost just from the vibe I'm getting just from the cast photos looks like, did Netflix not learn their lesson from Cowboy Bebop? It just looks like they're going to do the same thing again and try to make it flashy and fancy and you know, I don't know. It's just like maybe Netflix is getting a hold of too many properties and not sure what to do with them.
Yeah.
And watch Resident Evil because it's hard. Watch it get fucking renewed for a second season, and Cowboy Bebop didn't. It's like, you know,
hey, I could see that happening, but you have a point there. Toxic fandom. I do try and look past my nostalgia, my love for it, and you know, I am going to give it a chance. I'm going to keep watching. There's things that I like, and I want to see, you know, the different monsters from, like, there's a scene in Resident Evil 2, the remake, where you have to, you know, fight a giant, there's a giant spider that you have to fight, and they have a giant spider in the series, and I'm like, oh cool, they're taking like some of these like big boss characters and they're implementing him here, and I was like, that's really cool. So I found some stuff that I like. And I'm going to give the new story a chance because, you know, it is very Resident Evil to come up with like different storylines, you know, that are still good, not exactly connected with the original three, the first three, you know, Resident Evil games. But you know, I'm going to give it another, you know, give it more chances and stuff, and continue it. But yeah, I think you're right, Mark. I think. You know, Netflix is missing their shot in the anime live action, and I just don't, you know, I don't think that they're going to be able to depict Yusuke Urameshi the way fans want them to. You know, just he's very, you know, very stubborn in a badass kind of way. You know, I don't care if you're stronger than me. You know, it's kind of stuff like that. And Justin Cook just depicted him really, really well. And
I thought the depictions of the characters like in Cowboy Bebop were good. John Chalmers is maybe a little older than I would have maybe imagined Spike, but overall I thought depictions weren't the problem. You know, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, in Cowboy Bebop, I watched. I think I watched the first episode, but I felt like Cowboy Bebop's characters aren't like over the top, like a couple. And you know, not that Yu Yu Hakusho has like an abundance of over the top characters, but there's like a couple in there that I'm like, are they going to be able to hit the mark on those? And I feel like Cowboy Bebop is safer as far as like how you do the dialogue and how you portray those characters. I think it's more believable and more realistic and more grounded.
I mean, maybe just sometimes animes and video games just shouldn't be adapted. You know, just leave them how they are.
Alita Battle Angels.
Alita was good, and honestly,
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell is not terrible. People knock that movie, but it's closer to the manga than it was. People compare it to the anime, but it's actually more based on the manga, and it's pretty close to the actual manga. I mean, the creator of Ghost in the Shell even liked the live action movie. He said they did a good job. But I think that the movie worked better as anime. Yes, it did. But the live action version's not terrible.
You had all these people that are like,
Alita's very good.
Major shouldn't be played by Scarlett Johansson. It should be an Asian person. And then the creator of Ghost in the Shell said, "Hey, Major has no ethnicity.
Exactly.
Major can be anything." And then you have these people online that say, "Oh, well, he doesn't know he's Asian. You know, he doesn't know how things work here." And I'm like, that sounds kind of racist. I'm like,
it is racist.
As much as I'm looking forward to The Last of Us, I read the other day the HBO Max president or whatever said, he made a comment like, "Oh, we're not exactly adapting the game directly." As soon as he said that, I just groaned. I'm like, that means you're going to make up some shit and it's going to be bad. Just tell the story from the video game. I'm fine with seeing that in live action because it's a fucking good story. You know, it's like, don't go trying to change it. You know, it's like
the wheel has been invented, baby. Just keep running that same play. You don't have to.
I can see why I can see why Hideo Kojima has fought and fought and fought against bringing Solid Snake to the big screen, because he realizes Hollywood's just going to fuck it up. It's just like,
unless you get Jensen Ackles to play him and have him portray his Soldier Boy portrayal.
No,
I would love to see that shit, but I think you're right.
I think Metal Gear Solid on the big screen would be actually absolutely incredible, but it would have to be done right to be incredible.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
And I would want Keanu Reeves as Revolver Ocelot.
Maybe.
No? Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe
All
John. Well, one more thing. I missed this, I think 2 weeks ago, but I watched Last Night in Soho on HBO Max. It's on HBO Max. It's a horror. It's not really a horror film. It's a thriller.
It's from Meg Wright. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a murder mystery kind of thriller. A friend of the show, and he just welcomed his baby girl into the world. Justin Corbett. He watched it and said that it was solid, and I have to agree with him. I enjoyed it. Me and the wife watched it. It's a cool little thriller murder mystery kind of thing, and if you're into that, watch it. It's free on HBO Max.
I kind of intend to watch it at some point. It's funny, I like most of what Edgar Wright's done, except for I don't like the Hot Fuzz, that little trilogy. I didn't care for those, but I like most of his other movies.
Yeah.
But y'all know how I am with satire and comedy, and I think that's why I didn't really care for Hot Fuzz and stuff. But but I do like Scott Pilgrim quite a bit. I enjoyed Baby Driver. Actually like Baby Driver quite a bit too.
Baby Driver.
Especially John Hamm's crazy ass character in that.
I didn't watch it because it was a stupid title for a movie.
It's kind of a dumb title.
But the title makes sense when you see the movie.
Okay. Yeah. If I ever see the movie.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing about, we'll get to the feature film. The weird thing about Baby Driver for me was I watched it right after the Kevin Spacey allegations, and it was really hard to watch and not think, oh, he's a creep every time he came on screen. But the movie was engaging enough that once you got about 30 minutes into it, I kind of forgot about the Kevin Spacey stuff. The first part of the movie was just, it kept taking me out of it. But Baby Driver's pretty good, man. I did enjoy that. All right. Well, let's get into today's feature film. A first time full watch for Long, since he had only, I guess, seen parts of it over the years. And
actually, I haven't seen any parts.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
Yeah.
And
only heard the memes. If they build it, they will come.
Arguably one of the best sports movies ever made. It was nominated for Best Picture. It's become well documented about the field being still there in Iowa. Major League Baseball last year, for the first time ever, played a game at the Field of Dreams, even though people don't realize this. The game actually wasn't played at the original site. The Major League Baseball built their own field about, I guess it's 50 miles or so from the site that they built for these games they're playing out there. But the original site's still there for people to go visit, and there's souvenir stands and things like that. But the movie is Field of Dreams, starring Kevin Costner. A young Kevin Costner who was a moderate star at this point. He had done The Untouchables and Silverado, a few movies, and this is one of his first big hit films besides The Untouchables. And James Earl Jones also stars in this film. And man, this movie has been,
Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta, one of his first starring roles. And essentially, Ray Kinsella is a farmer who just living his life, trying to stay out of his father's shadow, because him and his father had an estranged relationship, which is all explained in the prologue of the film. And his father went on to pass away, and Ray, maybe had some regrets he didn't realize until this moment in this film, when he's out in his farm and he hears a voice that says, if you build it, he will come. And essentially leads to Ray believing that he has to build a baseball field. He doesn't know why at this point, but he knows he has to do it. And it leads him on to an adventure that he never expected. As after the baseball field is built and everyone in the town thinks he's crazy for ruining his farm, he's out there one night and his baby girl says, "Daddy, there's somebody on the field," and he goes out there and he meets Shoeless Joe Jackson, one of his dad's heroes as a baseball player. And it turns out that this field has some magic to it, and it sends Ray on a quest to essentially. Hold on, I have a tablet going off over here. I don't know how to turn this off. What the heck?
Such a boomer.
There we go. One of the kids' tablets going off the show.
How do you work this technology?
Yeah, that's like, what the hell? It's a little comedy there in the show. And so it leads him on an adventure of essentially finding himself while helping other people along the way. He meets Terrence Mann and helps him, who was a popular writer at the time, and he meets Archie Graham, who was a aspiring baseball player who never got to bat in the major leagues. And it all leads to a
played by no less by Burt Lancaster.
Yes,
one of the greatest film actors.
Wonderful Burt Lancaster. He's amazing in this film. And it all leads to basically he ends up meeting his father again through the Field of Dreams, who was brought back by the ball players, and he's able to redeem himself and have one last catch with his father. And the movie is very dramatic, but I feel it's a part of the time. Some of these movies made back then were like this, with a really good score of the film by James Horner, but I think the movie works on so many levels because of the over dramatics. Possibly, it makes you kind of watch this film and you find yourself kind of caught up in it, and you kind of start believing in the magic yourself. And it's a well acted film across the board. It's a well told story. Obviously, you have to suspend your belief for this, and I think that it all works on those many levels. So Long, I have to ask before I ask Matt the first time he saw this. Long, man, what'd you think for your first time ever seeing this film?
Well, don't hate me for saying this, but it was all right. I mean, it was entertaining. There were some moments in there that were like, what? He went back in time randomly to the 70s? So that was kind of weird. And then, I just went with it. I just try not to think too logically about it. And
right.
Well, the guy was obsessed. Film. Yeah, it's a journey film, and it's kind of a mystery film in a way. Mm-hmm. I could see why you like it, Mark. I mean, I could definitely see you probably have you could relate to it more so than I can, since your family history and all, and your love for baseball. Wasn't quite the sports movie as you say it was. It was more like a sentimental journey for the lead actor who's trying to
right.
trying to deal with his daddy issues, father issues. Standout performances from actually the child actor is really good, and who plays his daughter. I don't know. It was all right. I liked it. I mean, I don't hate it, but I could see why you like it a lot. So it's all right. Going in blind, I didn't know what to expect watching this film.
Right.
Yeah, wasn't quite. Didn't live up to the hype in a way.
Well,
but
sometimes that tends to be the case. A lot of times with some movies that are older, it's hard to put yourself in that position, see him for the first time at that time it came out. So I can understand that.
Yeah,
for me,
it's well acted.
Mm-hmm.
James Earl Jones was great as well. And his chemistry with Kevin Costner was really good. And freaking his brother-in-law was a douche.
Yeah.
And
you've got to sell. You've got to do it. Just do it.
pushes the daughter off the damn stands. Well, not pushes her off, but they were kind of fighting over her.
Yeah.
But yeah, Burt Lancaster with this 5 minutes of appearance.
He's so good,
made
though.
Most of it. Yeah, he's if you want to see a really good Burt Lancaster movie, Run Silent, Run Deep, with him and Clark Gable. Awesome submarine movie.
He's one of our great actors.
Anyhow,
I can remember this being. This feels like probably the first baseball movie I ever watched growing up, because at the time it was 88, so I was 11, 12 years old, and at that point I had already loved baseball quite a bit, and so I guess if 13-year-old me had remembered seeing this, I probably at that age probably bought into the magic of it, at that time. And like you said, when you get older, you kind of watch it, and even now the time jump thing kind of throws me for a loop too, and I guess you're just supposed to go with it because it's part of the magic. I've always thought that was a little strange. It almost feels like there's maybe something edited out of the film right there to explain why that happened, but you just sort of okay, it happened. At this point, we have Shoeless Joe Jackson coming back to life, so why not? Let's go through time and bring Archie Graham back through time, But yeah, I think that I do relate to the film quite a bit. For my love of baseball that my father and my grandfather gave me, so yeah, no, it definitely is relatable. This movie, is one of those few movies that tends to make me cry a little bit when I watch it sometimes, if depending on the mood I'm in, because it is an emotional film. I really like Costner's kind of obsessive but yet boyhood charm performance to this. He's like a kid in a candy store. He realizes man, I'm kind of fucking my family's stuff up, but I also believe in what I'm doing. And he also has this excitement to him that Shoeless Joe Jackson and these other ball players are standing in his baseball field. And I kind of like his performance. In fact, if you go back and watch Costner at this era, he was, a lot of his movies in his younger roles were like this, where he was very kind of, just kind of happy-go-lucky. Go watch Silverado, a really fun Western movie, and he's just kind of wild and wacky and all over the place. And he's kind of like that in this, just this boyhood charm to him as this baseball field comes to life in front of him. And I kind of like that. I think it makes the movie work well. And strangely enough, is Costner, we all know, is a huge baseball fan. He's done a couple of baseball films in his career, and but yet his characters. Not an extremely, he likes baseball in this film because he grew up with it with his dad and he knows a lot about baseball, but you kind of get the vibe that he doesn't like baseball as much anymore as he got older either, because of his estrangement with his father. But then the magic of the field allows him to bring his love for the game back. It's kind of how I view the movie, And then on the flip side of that, James Earl Jones actually hates baseball. He was never a fan. But yet he appears in this and The Sandlot, considered two of the better baseball films ever made. So kind of interesting. Matt, man, your thoughts on Field of Dreams, first time you saw it and everything?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like Long. I never really saw it from beginning to end. I would see parts of it on and didn't really know what was going on, and I'd kind of just pass along. If it was on TV, and this is the first time I've seen it from start to finish, and I'd have to say it's campy goodness. It's a campy feel good story, and I say it's campy. The road trip, and then there just the wonder and awe of it. It's kind of a good campiness, and I like it. It's it's probably not a movie that I would have. Just gone out and seen, but it's been added to my repertoire. It's a movie that takes you back and reminds you how fun it was maybe whenever you were younger. The feel of the game and how it makes you feel playing it, and that excitement you get when you're playing. As explained by Archie Graham's character, he describes it the best. Really, if you've ever played in any aspect, then you can kind of connect with it. And then, of course, at the end, just those misconnections and the lesson of not taking time, with your family members for granted, and making sure you make the best out of every moment. That's what I think of it.
I went into this movie. I've always been curious about it because it's always kind of just outside my periphery. I've always heard good things about it, and I was actually genuinely interested in seeing the film going into it too. I mean, it wasn't like it didn't feel like homework going into this film. I didn't want to, and that was the reason why I wanted to record it Saturday night instead of Friday night, because I knew that I was going to be dog tired throughout the week to watch a film. So I was like, hey, can we push it, this recording session to today? So I can have time to watch it, Saturday morning when I'm
fresh,
and not tired from exhaustion.
Yeah,
because I've been falling asleep lately, with the TV on. So I didn't want to fall asleep while trying to watch the film.
Yeah,
old man Tran, as they like to call me. So I'm just glad that I had a chance to watch the film fully aware and not tired. So.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. But yeah, no, like you said, this definitely, as a baseball fan, it definitely, it feels like, it makes you feel like part of the game at times, the way that they do, like you said, Archie Graham's character describing what it feels like to play baseball and to hold the bat and to smell the grass. And we get a bit of that from Ray Liotta's character too, who just, little story people may not know, the 1918 Yankee White Sox, I might have the date wrong, were banned from baseball because they were believed to have thrown the World Series. And there's a really good movie called 8 Men Out that tells that story about them being thrown out of baseball. And most people believe, though, that Shoeless Joe Jackson did not throw the World Series because he hit 330 something in the World Series, like several home runs. People believe he never took any money and didn't throw the series. So it's been controversy over the years about them being banned from baseball. People believe Shoeless Joe Jackson should be in the Hall of Fame. And so they play on that, that, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Getting thrown out of the game was like my life was taken away from me. So, that's part of the whole movie is about, like you said, redemption and second chances. And Shoeless Joe is given a chance to play baseball again. Terrence Mann, who's a writer who loved the game of baseball but stopped going to baseball games because he was tired of people looking to him for answers in his life as a writer. And he's able to redeem himself by helping Ray on this journey and finding Archie and bringing him to the field. And then Archie gets his one at bat in the game, and then he redeems himself by crossing the border of the field and turning back into himself as a doctor and realizing that's his last chance, but he saved the little girl's life, and he redeems himself. And then, of course, Ray and his father at the end, and Ray's able to redeem, but also forgive his father at that moment for the things that he blamed his father for. And so the movie is touching in a lot of ways in those aspects, and but it works on a lot of levels. I think the movie works on so many levels that you forgive the kind of somewhat a little bit silly fantasy aspects of it. It seems silly, but it's also very serious. Him hearing a voice go the distance, and yeah, and I think that's why that fantasy elements of the movie work, because it gives you so much more on other levels, and almost anybody, you don't have to be a hardcore baseball fan to relate to this movie. It's like Matt said, it makes you think about, make sure you take the time to not take the time for granted with your family and your loved ones every day, and I think we've all been there. Sometimes, mom or dad will call or whatever, and you're like, oh man, kids are driving me crazy, or Long just got off work. Dad, what do you want? We've all been there, but it makes you think about that might, make sure you take that call from mom or dad for that, because, you don't know what tomorrow holds. In this movie, I think, I'll say that as we're getting a little dramatic on the Rebel Radio podcast here today.
I know, right? It's it is a somber kind of,
it's
theme.
But it's also an uplifting film too. Yeah,
it is. And then, of course, you can tell he doesn't lose his farm. Just like James Earl Jones said, there's a line of cars at the end of the film.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the speech from James Earl Jones. I mean, it's one of the great sports baseball speeches ever in film. You guys, even before watching it this week, y'all had probably heard that speech in some form before. I mean, they've used that speech on Fox broadcast before World Series games. They've used it at Oscars and award ceremonies. I mean, it's become quite a famous speech from this film, as James Earl Jones describes, baseball and the passing of time and how it's led this country through wars and many other years, and it's true. And I could talk about the importance of baseball for a whole episode if I wanted to, and and people love their football and their basketball, but baseball is still America's pastime in a lot of ways, and this movie plays on that theme, especially with James Earl Jones' speech, that people will come and watch these players return, and again, it's fancy elements. They won't know why they came. They just will come because they felt a calling to see these players. And as the movie ends, you see a line of cars going down the highways of the Iowa farm area, coming to this field. And they'll hand over the $20, not even thinking about it. And you'll make a shit ton of money, Rick, and sell it to keep your farm. Eventually. And it's crazy. Like the people that the field still gets, several thousand visitors every year. People come there, and they said some people treat it as just a museum type site to say it's where the movie's made. There are people that go there and they pray, and they believe that the field has magic. It's crazy how the field has been treated in the 30 years since the movie came out. How people view this this landmark in the middle of Iowa. So,
and it's a playable field on MLB The Show.
Yes. Yep, because I have MLB The Show 21. So,
and Costner, I believe in an interview with Conan O'Brien, I was watching some old interviews where they asked him questions about Field of Dreams, and he was talking about how after he made that movie, I think he some pro ball players invited him to go out and just play some do some field work and run some plays, and he said he got him some opportunities with some real MLB teams to hang out, and help practice and stuff, and where otherwise he wouldn't have. And he talked about how he was a late bloomer, and he was like 5'2" until he was like 16, and then all of a sudden he grew like 7 or 8 inches, and he was like 6'1". Yep. He's a good guy, man. I'd never seen really his interviews before this week. But he's a pretty cool guy, Costner.
Yeah.
And he was in the interview they're like, "Oh, so you made 1 or 2 really good baseball films," and he's like, 3. I made 3. He's like for love of the game, Bull Durham, and of course this one. And he's like, I threw a perfect game. I actually like For Love of the Game. Even if it's a bit of a snappy romantic movie, I like that movie. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna have to watch that one next, because I remember the just not understanding the romance part of it. That's all I remember. Because there is there's a love story I remember. Because I saw it very young. My version, baseball movies that I grew up with was Rookie of the Year, Angels in the Outfield, which is not as good of a story as Field of Dreams, but it's like they tried to clone it. You have, ghosts in the outfield, and then you have the father who says, "Yeah, I'll come back when the Angels win," and the Angels help. Angels in the Outfield help the Angels win.
There's no sport that has the drama that baseball has. Yeah, and that's a fact. 2 men on, 2 outs, 2 strikes, winning run at the plate. I mean, you don't get that in any other sport. And I think that's why baseball translates well to film, because the drama is already there in the game itself.
I don't know. Boxing can be pretty dramatic.
No one watches boxing anymore long.
In a different way.
Well, that's why they made Rocky movies in the 80s when boxing was popular.
Yeah.
But in a majorly different way, though. And boxing doesn't have the history and the nostalgic behind it that baseball has. Baseball has done so much for culture as far as color barrier breaking, race ethnic breaking. With Asian players coming over to the markets and I think that's why baseball has been so important over the passing of time. And, baseball helped with the war efforts by players, people, if Willie Mays did not take 3 years to go fight the war, he probably had a better career than Hank Aaron. Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, he gave up 3 years to go fight and end up with 660 homers, so he might have ended up with a lot more. So it's just something about baseball and the way it's and just the legendary figures of the game, like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and things like that. And some of the other sports just don't have that, so it's just different. But Field of Dreams does a good job presenting baseball as being important to family and the passing of time. And I'd probably give the movie. I give the movie a pretty solid A. I think it's a wonderful film, and it's one of my favorite baseball movies. I don't think it's strangely, I don't think it's my favorite baseball movie. I think The Sandlot's my favorite baseball movie. Just
very fun. Yeah.
But this is probably my second favorite, and I really enjoy 42 that Chadwick Boseman did. I think that's a great film too. But yeah, I give it a solid A.
It's an A. It's an A for me. I think it holds up, and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
B+.
Just had to ruin the trifecta long. No, all right.
It's like, yeah. I want to say Siskel loved this film, and Ebert was like, "Oh, it seems kind of goofy to me, but I still liked it."
Was Ebert? Ebert was the white-haired fat guy, right?
I thought Ebert was the bald dude. Maybe that's Siskel.
Siskel.
I never liked this. Okay. I always hated those guys for some reason.
Ebert loved the film. He loved it. Siskel was the one that was like, it's a little goofy to me. He's like, why are they coming out of the cornfield?
You should see how they defended Star Wars against a snooty critic.
They did
on YouTube. Yeah, two of them piled onto a snobby critic one time on late night television and say, "Hey, Star Wars is a fantastic film," and this one critic guy is like, this film is becoming too juvenile, and it's all thanks to Star Wars dumbing down the art, and and then Siskel and Ebert comes in and start wailing on the guy verbally about.
I have to go back and look though, but there was something those guys, I can't remember if it was Jaws or Raiders of the Lost Ark. There was some popular movie from the 80s that one of them didn't like. And after I read that, I was like, forget these guys. I don't know.
I think they like Raiders.
Huh?
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
anyways, moving on. They're both dead.
Yeah, let's
rotting in hell. So
damn.
That's what Mark wants to say.
As there's a lot of news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con's going on this weekend, so let's talk about some of this stuff. We got our first look at John Wick 4 yesterday. A little trailer came out, and hell yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Donnie Yen.
Yeah, man, it looks like John's not missing a beat. Looks like we're gonna get right back into it. I'm just, I'm ready to continue the saga. It's kind of like, I feel like a break was nice because John Wick 3 was intense, lots of great action. It left our hero with literally some broken bones towards the end of it. So I kind of feel like it was nice to have this little break, and now I'm ready to get back into this world. Would y'all agree?
I agree.
Yep.
Did y'all watch the trailer for Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, I did. It looks a lot better than the Marlon Wayans one.
No, it does. It does, but it still feels like a huge CGI fest built around what looks like just probably a bad story and a bunch of one-liners. And I'm sitting there watching the trailer, and I can't help but look like, why is Chris Pine's character look like he's wearing a suit from Walmart that they put some wax on it to make it look like armor? I couldn't help but notice that.
He is a thief, isn't he?
Yeah, I know, but the costume department couldn't make his armor look better. It's just like
his character class probably doesn't allow him to wear anything more than cloth armor.
I don't know. I just felt like I just when I see a big CGI trailer like that, I start looking at the backgrounds and looking to see how cheap it looks, and It just there's a lot of stuff that look kind of cheap, but there's some cool stuff. Like I thought the girl that turns into the giant bear, that looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yes, it's not hard to look better than the Marlon Wayans Dungeons and Dragons film, though. I mean, that thing wasn't Jeremy Irons in that turd fuck of a movie.
He was trying to control the dragons, and then you had that weird bald dude with the stuff that would come out of his ears and go.
Yeah. I mean, it's an extremely popular franchise. It's been around since the 70s, people playing this game, and Stranger Things has helped it become popular again, too. So you hope that they can make
a lot of video game RPGs owe a lot to Dungeons and Dragons as well. I mean, it's not just for sure, not just, and also a lot of fantasy books were inspired by the tabletop gaming sessions some of these folks had. Some folks went on to write books based on some of the adventures they had in their table sessions. A lot of fantasy anime as well was created from D&D sessions. So it's definitely super, super important in geek culture.
Oh, I agree. We talked about, I think, the show last week or a couple weeks ago about the Walking Dead, and the final episodes are going to air this fall. They announced at Comic-Con, and the Rick Grimes and Michonne movies that were supposed to happen are now being turned into a 6-part miniseries. It's going to air on AMC Plus. So the end of The Walking Dead is coming this fall on AMC and AMC Plus. I guess AMC Plus is like their streaming service they have. So it's just, we were talking about that, I remember, just a couple weeks ago. So that's the news on The Walking Dead. Let's get into the big two companies now. Let's start with DC, because there's not much. I'm actually a little surprised that, I guess DC has their DC fandom now, so I guess they're going to say more stuff for fandom. But I was a little surprised that basically all we got was a trailer for Shazam! Fury of the Gods. And I guess there's a new Black Adam trailer, but I don't know if it was released online yet. It was just at Comic-Con. I actually kind of really liked the trailer for Shazam. And I wasn't a huge fan of the first movie, but this trailer was pretty fun. I thought it looked pretty good,
Yeah.
Did you guys watch it?
Yeah.
For what? The trailer?
Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
I've seen the original movie. Yeah, I saw the trailer. Looks fine.
Yeah, the new trailer came out. Yeah, it looks fine.
Mirren's in it. And Lucy Liu. I haven't seen Lucy Liu in a while.
No. I just was a little shocked that I thought maybe we would get our first Flash trailer. It just feels like, with all the Ezra Miller stuff that's going on, that DC would want to get some footage out there and get people starting to hype him and maybe forget about what he's done. Or at least some Batgirl footage. So maybe, I guess they're saving it for DC fandom. I just was a little surprised that DC did not bring a little bit more to this Comic-Con. It just feels like, with all the controversy around Zack Snyder and whether he used bots to get the Snyder Cut made and all this ridiculous stuff, I just would think that Warner Brothers would have maybe wanted a more positive media storm to come out of Comic-Con this weekend, but instead we just got one trailer. But oh well.
And another Black Adam teaser.
Yeah. And I thought Blue Beetle was further along in filming. I thought maybe there'd be some Blue Beetle footage, So, but that's all we got was, like you said, the Black Adam and Shazam. Now, Marvel, on the other hand, brought a lot of stuff. Let's start a little bit low-key. Apparently some footage was shown from the new X-Men 97 show that's going to continue where X-Men the Animated Series left off. And this is going to air on Disney Plus starting next fall of 2023. I guess some images were released and they changed the look of Magneto for some reason. People are kind of up in arms about that. But I take the approach of wait and see. Let's give them a chance to see what they do, because I'm looking forward to this. I really enjoyed X-Men the Animated Series. I've actually kind of dabbled here and there and rewatched some episodes recently on Disney Plus, and the show still holds up pretty well. I think it's still one of the better incarnations of the X-Men. So I'm looking forward to that. And they announced a Marvel Zombies animated series that's going to be for mature audiences. That's coming. And they kind of announced this earlier this year, but we kind of knew that Spider-Man freshman year was coming. And this actually, I guess it's considered Spider-Man continuity. That's going to take place like while he's in high school, which I thought that's what Homecoming was. But So we'll see how this works. But the big dogs were what they announced today at their panel for Phase 4, or Phase 5, I should say, of the MCU.
Oh, wait, you didn't mention, before you get into that, Marvel Zombies. It's going to be like, what,
Marvel Zombies.
First...
Yeah, he just
You're sleeping long?
Oh, my bad.
The last thing.
Sorry, your signal must have cut off while you were talking about that.
The signal.
Blame the signal. It's okay if you snooze long.
Yeah.
I didn't write everything down, so you guys help me out with this. But they announced Marvel Phase 5 today. Not a ton of surprises in this, but a few. The one thing I'm super excited about is that we're bringing Daredevil back with Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus. That is fucking awesome. I'm assuming they might adapt part of the Kevin Smith Born Again storyline, which though was already kind of touched upon in the original Netflix Daredevil series. So, no, that was Guardian Devil. Sorry. Born Again is the Frank Miller storyline. So we'll see where they go with that. We kind of already knew about She-Hulk, and they put out a new trailer for that. Hey, and guys, I hated on the first She-Hulk trailer. I actually kind of like this trailer. This was a little bit better. I think the jokes hit better in this trailer, and the fact that it looks like Daredevil is in it, I've got to fucking watch it if Daredevil's going to be in it. I'm trying to think, guys. Help me out here.
I've been speculating.
Wakanda Forever?
I've been speculating, right? I've been speculating about Matt Murdock being in She-Hulk for a few weeks, haven't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yes, we got
vindication.
Our first trailer for Black Panther 1, Wakanda Forever, which is seeing the debut of Namor, the Submariner, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It looks like it's about Wakanda's battle with Atlantis, and it's a lot of imagery in this trailer with music in the background, very little dialogue, as they're trying to keep the story top secret of how they continue on with after the passing of Chadwick Boseman. A very emotional Ryan Coogler appeared at the show and said, basically, I feel Chadwick's hand on my shoulder every day, and we're trying to pay tribute to him and make the best movie we can. And I'm going to call it now. I think we get a brief glimpse of someone in the suit at the end, and I just think the way things set up, it's got to be Shuri. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense to me for anyone else to be in that suit.
No, it's Lupita Nyong'o. It's his love interest from...
Killmonger is still alive, and he comes back and saves the day. Shuri is going to be more like an Iron Man, in my opinion, because Thanos is already dead. So it's like all the elements that tie her to the storyline that was used in the eight book comic that ran for a short time, it's gone. Proxima Midnight's gone. So the cool battle.
I think it's Lupita Nyong'o's character.
It looks, if you look at the way the character leans, it just looks more like a woman. It just doesn't, Just
I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah.
Because you saw a butt cheek in there. If that's a man, I'm not. That's a woman's butt cheek.
I mean, they could pull it off, somehow. I mean,
I don't think it's Shuri.
They do leave it open. They leave it open. It's going to be fun going like, hey, who is it? Playing fucking Clue for the end of the year. Honestly, until we guess it.
Honestly, with the movie coming out November 11th, I think one trailer is enough. I think, don't give. I'm getting a little tired of these trailers giving away too much. I would love to go into this and that's it, man. And,
I think you have to leave that, open. Could be. There's it could be M'Baku, could be Shuri, it could, could be a lot of people.
Save that surprise for the film. Yeah.
Yeah.
James Gunn appeared and announced that the High Evolutionary will be the villain in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Apparently a trailer was shown, but it's not being shown to the public yet. I guess they said that in a few weeks it'll come out to the public, which makes sense because, your next movie is Black Panther. So let's get that trailer out there. Let's get people hyped for that. You don't quite need the Guardians trailer yet. Apparently a trailer for Ant-Man 3 was also shown. Again, probably won't be out to the public for a few weeks. We've got Loki Season 2, Echo, Secret Invasion, The Marvels, all coming out in Phase 5, which is stuff we already knew about. Ironheart, Blade. It's going to be out in November of next year. So we finally have a release date behind the Blade film. The Agatha series is coming, the Daredevil series. And the big announcements towards the end of Phase 5 were Captain America New World Order, which of course we know is going to star Anthony Mackie as Captain America, and the Thunderbolts movie, which has been rumored for a while, but definitely officially confirmed now as coming in 2024. And then just when we thought the panels were over, towards the end of the day, they released the announcements of the first 3 movies for Phase 5, or at least 3 of the movies for Phase 5, not necessarily the first 3, and of course Fantastic Four, which we knew was coming already, but now it's officially announced. And then they announced 2 Avengers films that are going to come out the same year. One in May of 2025 and one November of 2025. So a lot of the assumption is that these are going to be filmed back-to-back next year for release, and that is The Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, which Secret Wars we had kind of known that Marvel was buying the rights back from Jim Shooter to make sure they could use the title Secret Wars. Even though I'm sure it will have nothing, I'm sure the movie will be a little different than the comics, because the comic, I've been reading the Secret Wars actually, and it's kind of silly, the storyline. So I think it's more just a title thing they're going to use. I imagine there might be some elements from the Secret Wars story, but
I think you combine Secret Wars and Secret Avengers especially with the roster that you have.
Possibly, yeah. I think it'll be a little different. So man, what are you guys excited about in this next coming Marvel phase? I just hope we start getting direction. And then they also announced that we have the Infinity Saga. This is going to be called the Multiverse Saga. This phase of films.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed it.
Yeah, I want to see more. I want to see the new Avengers films, man. I want to see Secret Wars.
Yeah, we have so long till we get to that, though. We've got to get some setup here first, you know.
Yeah, man, it's hard to tell, like, you know, which one I would like the most.
Well,
Quantumania, I think, is maybe going to hit, you know, it's going to make a bigger splash than we think. It's got to make a bigger impact than Ant-Man and Wasp. So
hopefully, I'm looking forward to Daredevil. I'm looking forward to Anthony Mackie as Cap. I think that'll be fun. I'm a little shocked that there was no. And people think there are people that already believe that Marvel is holding back some stuff, that this might not be the entire Phase 5, that there might be more announcements, because where's Deadpool 3? We know Ryan Reynolds is far along in this film, and it's supposed to start filming hopefully soon. So where's Deadpool 3? Where's the rumored Mutants movie that's coming, being called The Mutants? You would think they're not going to hold all that stuff all the way till 2025, so maybe they sneak a couple of these movies in there, especially Deadpool 3. I can't help but think Deadpool 3 is going to show up somewhere in Phase 5, because, like I said, Ryan Reynolds has been working on it. Apparently they have a script. Apparently they're close to filming. I just don't believe that that Deadpool's not going to be in Phase 5. That feels like that's one they held back. Also, where is Armor Wars? You know, it's, you know, the other TV show that's starring, what's the name? Don Cheadle as War Machine. So, you know, so I think with D23 coming up in late August, I believe, maybe we'll get more announcements from Marvel and Disney as far as what else is going on. So, anything that stood out to you, Long, you're looking forward to? I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to Guardians 3 also.
The new Monsterverse TV series starring Kurt Russell and his son. I'd never imagined I'd see Kurt Russell acting in a film that's shared by a Godzilla, you know, which is all good with me. Star Trek teaser. I don't know. I'm a little jaded about the Picard season 3, with the TNG cast returning to reprise their roles. I am kind of looking forward to Lower Decks. That's a really good show, actually. Animated Star Trek series. Pretty funny, pretty clever. And they just announced season 2 for the Chucky TV series. Mm-hmm. The doll. A bit underwhelming as far as Comic-Con goes.
Yeah. I mean, it's our first full year back since COVID, so I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chucky. Hey, wait, did you see, and real quick news, did you guys see, I was thinking about this because, we've never done one of the Bourne films. Did you see Matt Damon kind of attack Jeremy Renner, blaming him for Bourne falling apart?
Really?
I was like, what? They got Jeremy Renner because you didn't want to do another one, Matt Damon. It's like, that wasn't your fault, his fault. And actually, the Bourne Identity wasn't that bad of a movie. It was better than Jason Bourne. That movie sucked. That fifth one they did, that was not good. So maybe you ruined the franchise, dude, by coming back and doing a fifth movie that wasn't very good. But just on a side note, I saw that. I was like, what? It's like, oh.
Would it make it awesome to let y'all know that I never bothered watching any of the Bourne movies?
Really?
Yep.
You really should.
And I'm damn proud of it too. No, I won't watch it.
Why?
No. Because
that trilogy is so.
I don't like its. I don't like its style of action. I don't like the way it's filmed. I do not like shaky cam at all. But
yet you watch John Wick.
Hand. John Wick is different because it doesn't rely on shaky cam like Bourne Identity does.
I don't know, man. You're missing out there. That trilogy is really good.
Yeah.
Missing out or living free?
Missing out.
No, I don't care. Don't care. My money, my wallet, the free market.
Oh. Yep. I was trying to think of something.
I'd rather watch a Tom Cruise movie.
Dang.
I'm not sure what that had to do with anything, but anyway.
I hate Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is the greatest actor ever, okay? I don't know. Certainly, hey, Top Gun's still making a shit fuck ton of money.
I'd rather watch Top Gun than Bourne Identity.
It's making so much money, they still haven't even announced a streaming release date or a Blu-ray release, which is, in the current environment, that's very strange. Most of these movies have been hitting streaming and Blu-ray within 2 to 3 months, but Top Gun's just making a lot of money, so they haven't announced anything yet. Oh, they did announce that you can watch Lightyear on Disney Plus starting August 3rd, I believe, here next week. So a week after. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's preview.
If you were to pick for me a movie to watch, would you want me to watch Bourne Identity or Top Gun 2?
Oh, Top Gun 2, easy.
Top Gun 2.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you.
But the initial Bourne trilogy is still very much worth watching, especially the way there's a twist in the second and third one where they intertwine between the two movies. It just was like brilliant storytelling. Man,
what? Brian Cox is his dad?
No, nothing like that. Just the way they let the story unfold. Man, those are good films. So anyway,
that he wasn't American the whole time.
You've seen them, right, Matt?
Yes.
And they're good movies, aren't they?
They are good. They're good action movies.
Yeah, they're very good. Especially Ultimatum the third one is just really good. And we'll preview next week. And to be fair, one thing I did like about the Bourne Ultimatum is it wrapped everything up. You didn't need a fourth or fifth movie, but they did it anyways because the movies made money. But that is one trilogy that tells a story in 3 films and wraps up nicely, and it was done. That's all you needed. I mean, so. But all right, cool. Next week's film. It's the 60th anniversary this year of James Bond, and his anniversary is going by kind of quiet since No Time to Die came out last year, and the studio has made an announcement that there might not be another Bond film for a couple of years as they, trying to reassess where to go with Bond after the events of No Time to Die. So we felt, that. We might do a couple Bond films between now and the end of the year to celebrate the 60th anniversary. So we're gonna do that by talking next week from Russia with Love.
Only the second James Bond thriller could be more exciting than the first.
other Bulgaria they use as a killer. Take a look. You should remember him. This man kills for pleasure.
James Bond, that notorious, amazing Dr. No secret agent, is back, and half the world is out to kill him. As he pits his murderous talents against the Iron Curtain and its velvet women.
Well, I'll tell you something, Coturni. You're one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen.
I think my mouth is too big.
No, it's the right size. For me, that is.
From Russia with love comes Tatiana, bait for the trap. From the four corners of the world come the men and women who play a deadly, dangerous game of espionage.
Do not be alarmed, my friend. We will make you as comfortable as possible.
Ali Kerim Bey, head of Station T, Turkey. Krasnogransky, codename Grant. Chief executioner of Spectre.
My orders are to kill you and deliver the lecter. How I do it's my business.
M of British Secret Service. The woman called Rosa Klebb, playing a double cross.
Klebb.
Romano, the door. Romano!
From Russia with love. They dance for him. They yearn for him. They die for him. From Zagreb to Sofia. From Venice to Istanbul. From Paris to London. Agent 007 cuts an inimitable path through the palaces and boudoirs of espionage.
James, you're hurting
I'll
me.
do worse than that if you don't tell me. I'm doing this under orders I know. And what are they?
Even if you kill me, I can say nothing.
You're trapped, Mr. Bond. You cannot escape.
Arguably one of the better Bond films made. It's a little more spy oriented, this movie, than his action Bond. And it's also, there's only 2 Bond movies that were really made without the standard formula, and that was Dr. No and this one. And then before they came up with the Bond formula after that. So it stars, of course, Sean Connery as Bond in this movie, and the guy from Jaws is in this movie too.
Oh yeah,
played Quinn. Richard Shaw. So, good.
Robert
good
Shaw.
Actor. Robert Shaw. So, good actor. So, it's on, all the Bond movies are on Amazon Prime right now. So, easy to watch. Don't go rent it, Matt. You can watch it on Amazon Prime.
yes,
I actually have this Bond movie on Blu-ray too. But next week, From Russia with Love on the show. And again, thank you, anyone that came out to Compalooza and supported us. We hope we got some new listeners. And to our regular listeners that listen every week, thank you for listening to us. And remember, the rebelradiopodcast.com is where you can find our show on all apps and platforms that you can listen to podcasts at. And until next week, continue to stay safe. This has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
This is Long.
Remember, as always, just go there and do it.
Do it.